Taurus, this is your July tarot reading. In June, I felt you'd have to abandon or at least refine or change your long-term plans. I wasn't certain if it was temporary, and I think looking at this, maybe it was temporary, or at least you've just refined them, they're still there. But in having made that change, I think it's very positive for you. You see, the overall energy is that of the sun, and this goes throughout the entire reading. Multiple blessings, but such blessings that people can see it, people can see it in you. Almost like everything you touch turns to gold. And let's face it, you've been hanging around, you've been waiting for a long time for things to happen, and they're still not quite happening. I think you're still a little frustrated with the pace of change, but you do have a determination to see things through. You have, as I say, you've refined your plans, and I think you've refined your plans by sort of starting out afresh with a wide-eyed innocence. More now, instead of it must be this way, must be that way. More, maybe this is the general direction, but let's see, where the path takes me, and enjoy it simply for the journey. What would change everything for you is what I believe to be a new love. And now, about a year ago, it was a drama. Your life was a drama of love. I hope we're not opening up another can of worms here. I really don't know. Because you see, I do see the outcome as a good outcome, and that is you investing for the future, which is exactly what you were doing before, which suggests to me that you are returning to your plans, or at least returning to a part of them. And so I think it's up to you. Do you want these long-term plans to dominate, or do you want love? Certainly what we can see is that as a result of these sort of long-term investments, we have temperance. So I think this is the major change that's occurred in you, and that is you're more taking the middle ground, more likely to see others' points of views. I mean, I could interpret this as you've given up hedonism, and there was a suggestion in the past of hedonism, but I think it's more to do with you understanding the middle ground and appreciating the middle ground. There's no doubt in my mind, Taurus, that you've made the changes that the universe, Allah, God, your ancestors, whoever you might think it is, had request you to make in the last reading. And as a result, you're being blessed. You're being blessed with multiple blessings. In fact, this energy of the sun, it's not so much you're being blessed as you're creating your own blessings. What you're being blessed with is a high level of vibration, and that high level of vibration will attract great things to you and attract the right people to you, because it's as though the sun's being reflected off you. People are dazzled by your brilliance and therefore attracted to you. It's almost as though everything you touch turns to gold. So a beautiful energy, and an energy that runs throughout this month of July. And Taurus, I have to say, you do deserve this energy of the sun. You've been very patient, and you've made the changes that have been asked of you. You maybe don't recognise it, but you're a completely different person to who you were a year ago. You see, you've sort of been hanging around. You've been hanging around and waiting for changes, and they're slow in coming. They're so slow, it's almost imperceptible to you. You know, you feel that these changes aren't happening, but they are. I can assure you they are. And you've been very patient, and I think that's why you're being rewarded. And your current energy also suggests waiting. Well, we've seen this about you before. You could describe this as stubbornness, but I don't see it that way. There's a determination to see things through from you. So when you were asked last month to abandon your plans, I don't think you did. I think you just recognised that there was more than one way to skin a cat, as it were. You're still determined, but you've had to change things slightly. But what it does mean is that everything is moving even slower now than maybe they were before. So slow that, before I said the change was imperceptible. Now it feels like you're standing still, maybe even going backwards. But don't get hung up on it. I do have real confidence in what I can see in this spread for you, Taurus. Now, in the future, the energy, and I think it's a good energy, but the energy is of temperance. Now, there were indications previously of a somewhat hedonistic lifestyle, and I say only somewhat. I'm not sure how hedonistic you really were, but there were indications of a somewhat hedonistic lifestyle, and I think to a degree you've put that behind you. So I don't think that's what this is about. I think this is about you taking the middle ground, seeing the other point of view. And you've been asked to sort of slow things down, or maybe take a more middle path, as it were, or a slightly different path. And I'm sure that's what you're doing. I don't think you've abandoned your plans for 1 minute. I think you've tempered your plans. Hence this temperance. So how have you achieved this change? Well, I think we had this energy last month, and it's the energy of the Fool. It's an energy whereby you set off on a new journey. Now, I think you're setting off on a new journey, but retaining your overall direction. The Fool is meant to be more, you abandon all direction, but I'm not sure that you have. I think you're enjoying the journey for the sake of it, but haven't given up on your ideas completely. It's supposedly wide-eyed innocence, but I think there's still something behind all this within you. I might be wrong. But, I think you're doing the right thing. I think you're doing it in the right way. You're taking a step back and saying, okay, the old way wasn't quite working. Let's take a step back. Let's slow it down and see where the path takes me. Now, what would change things is love. I normally associate this with a new love. I mean, it could be an existing love. I don't think it is. It could simply be a strong friendship. Again, don't think it is. I think this is a new love. And in my preface or my introduction, I said I hope you weren't going back to your old ways or falling for your old problems. And I think that's exactly what it is. Being put off course by a new love. Yes, you are a bit of a fool for love, aren't you? And Do you know, maybe a sojourn back into love wouldn't do you any harm. Take your mind off some things, but it's also what got you into so much trouble in the past. I can't see it as being the right thing to do. I really can't. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, how does he know I've not given up on my long-term ambition? How can he tell that? How on earth does he know that? Because to a certain degree, I even hide it from myself. Oh, well, we have this energy here of you investing for the future, which is exactly what you were doing. You were investing for the future because you had a goal, and I felt, and I might have been wrong, but I felt that goal was because you wanted to retire or semi-retire, or at least build a easy life for yourself, probably in another country to that you're in now. And thus you were saving for that. Well, that energy returns, and it comes out of this full card whereby you were meant to have abandoned all such long-term plans. And I said I didn't think you had. And you haven't, have you? You've still got them. And I'm not having a go at you. I'm not having a go at you. I'm really not. I feel probably you're doing the right thing. I feel that things are probably correct for you. But there is this potential of a new love, which would change everything. But given your track record, I'm not too certain it's the right thing. So, I think we can summarise for you, Taurus. Taurus, last month you were being encouraged to change your plans. I'm not going to accuse you of cheating because I think you're doing the right thing. But you've taken a back seat on your plans, but you've not given up on them. And to a certain degree, I think you're even fooling yourself. But I'm not having a go. The universe believes you're doing the right things, and you can't fool the universe, or God, Allah, your ancestors. You can't fool them. So you're being rewarded. You're being rewarded in a way that's wonderful. High vibrations, you'll attract good things and good people. So no problem with that. You've hung around for a long time, waiting for things to happen, waiting to see the lie of the land before you act. So you are patient. You're also very determined, and I think you're very determined to see through your original plans, even though you've been happy to put them on a back burner just for now. So I think what you're doing is admirable. That's my personal view, but we'll come to why it might not be. Yes, you've sort of started off on a new journey, or a slightly different journey, a different path as it were, but you've not forsaken the goal of where you're heading. And I can't put you down for it. I can't put you down for it. I think you're doing the right thing, I really do. And how do I know all of this? Well, you're still investing for the future. And some months ago, I spotted that you were investing in the future, probably to build a new life in another country for yourself, or a country different to where you currently are. Could it be retirement? Could it be partial retirement? I don't know. But you were definitely investing in the long term, and you're back to that. And I see that as very good, and that will lead to temperance. I don't think that's about giving up a hedonistic lifestyle, which to a certain degree you have enjoyed in the past. No, I think it's about taking the middle ground, which is exactly what you're doing now. Recognising that there are many paths to the same goal and being flexible in terms of those paths. That's exactly what I think it is. What I think would put you off course is a new love coming into your life. Now, about a year ago, well, I mean, it was 2 years, and maybe even 3 years ago, to 6 months ago, your life was a saga to do with love. Absolute saga. So I can see how a new love would completely change all these things. And I don't think it's what you should do, but that's just me. What you've got on offer here is your long-term plans not being forsaken, but taking the slight backseat. Or following love yet again. And I think the choice is yours, to be honest, Taurus.